I don't see anybody else talking about this, but I'm going to share the truth about some of your favorite brands in today's video. Hi, this is Netta. Welcome to my channel. You know my whole goal for this channel is to help you build your best wardrobe, so you show up every single day looking and feeling beautiful and glamorous. I think we all deserve that every single day, every single day, every single day, to just up-level our style so that we face the day with confidence and with energy and with productivity and with positivity and with all of the things that we need, especially at this time of year when things are so busy. So now I'm going to go into the topic of today's video. And, you know, I generally try to keep it really positive here, really positive. But it's also my goal and my job and my responsibility to be honest with you about what is happening in style and what is happening with certain brands. And so that's what the topic of today's video is. It's the truth about your favorite brands. This is going to be a little disappointing. I was a little heartbroken. I'm not going to lie about some of these. I was like, oh my goodness, what the heck happened? What happened? So my advice for years has always been to buy your pieces, your wardrobe staple pieces at the contemporary brands. Like, the way to avoid frumpy style or buying frumpy items is to shop contemporary brands. So for years, my advice has been to shop your wardrobe pieces, especially the trend pieces, from some of the department store brands we all know and love, right? And some of the more contemporary brands. Now, the problem is that some contemporary brands are letting us down. Now, at the end of this video, there is going to be a silver lining. I will be sharing some of my favorite contemporary brands that are still doing things right. But a lot of the contemporary brands that I used to recommend, I used to say, you know, if you're going to buy a trendy dress or a fun dress or a statement dress this season, don't buy it from Talbot's, buy it from X. If you're going to buy a pretty blouse or a pretty sweater this season that's not just a staple basic piece, don't buy it from J. Jill, buy it from this brand. Well, the insert this brand here, the brands that I used to mention all the time, they are not all staying true to their aesthetic. And now it's become almost impossible to tell the difference between the frumpy clothes, like where frumpy clothes come from. So now the brands that had the stylish clothes also have some frumpy pieces, and the brands that had the frumpy clothes also have trendy pieces. It's a mishmash. It's a mess out there. It's a mess out there. So I can't say avoid this store and go to this store, because every store has its highs and its brutal lows. So now I want to focus on a couple of brands that have kind of broken my heart recently. I grew up in the 80s and 90s like many of you. I was a teenager in the 80s. I was in my 20s in the 90s, being born in 1970. And so some of the iconic brands and the iconic designers that I loved, I was just scrolling through a department store website, and I felt like someone just pierced my heart with a sword when I saw some of these pieces. I was like, no, say it isn't so. Well, like, I'm gonna just show you a couple of the items that I found. And I want you to tell me, based on these items, if you think these came from contemporary brands or if you think they came from frumpy brands. Because I think this is gonna blow your mind. These items are from two of my former favorite brands, Michael Kors and Calvin Klein. So let me just give you a quick take on this. Now, you know, we all know that Michael Kors and Calvin Klein had their high-end designer runway collections. Michael Kors, their designer runway collection is still amazing, still elegant, still that American sportswear, that woman with the beautiful blonde chignon and a long camel sweeping coat getting off a private jet. That was Michael Kors. That's still Michael Kors at the high end. Michael Kors at the department store level with the $50, $60 blouses that still have the same zipper pull that they have had on them for 15 years. Can we update that already? Like the same pieces. That is the Michael Kors we're looking at here. That's not okay. These are awful tops. They're awful tops. They're awful tops. And we're buying them thinking, well, Michael Kors is safe. Like Netta said, everyone said Michael Kors is safe. It's a contemporary designer. I mean, when I see lines out, like for Black Friday, I see lines outside the Michael Kors outlet store in our town. I'm like, really? Really? Now, there's nothing wrong with, like, there are going to be great pieces from all of these brands. Michael Kors has some great pieces. They have some great classic bags. They have some great jewelry pieces. There are some nice clothes. All I'm saying, though, is that just because it says Michael Kors doesn't mean you should buy it, and you should have that confidence knowing that that's an amazing item. That confidence needs to go out the window. You need to look at the item and not the label. You need to look at the item and not the brand. That's the big takeaway from here. It's not just based on brand anymore. Same with Calvin Klein. Now, Michael Kors still has their high-end line, and then they've got all of these licensed lines, and then they've got their lower priced, department store stuff. Calvin Klein no longer, as of 2019, no longer shows on the runway. They do not have their signature, amazing, classic, elegant, minimalist, chic line anymore. They just have the stuff that we're seeing in department stores, and it looks like this buffalo plaid cowl neck monstrosity. Like, what in the world is that? That is what is available to you in Calvin Klein right now. It's not, remember Calvin Klein used to be edgy and cool and would push the envelope a little and kind of sexy. This is not, that's not sexy. That's not, it's just, like they have fallen. So I know that these guys are probably on a private island somewhere, sipping margaritas or whatever. They're not designing these things. I know Michael Kors still retains a lot of control over a lot of his designs, but the stuff in department stores does not reflect the Michael Kors aesthetic. Now, out of these 90s, 80s, 90s classic iconic brands, one that has stayed very true to their signature style is Ralph Lauren. Ralph Lauren is Ralph Lauren. Ralph Lauren is Ralph Lauren. It's high-end, luxury, preppy, chic, old money, like, to me, it's like that Northeast prep school, that whole, Ralph Lauren has stayed true to who Ralph Lauren is. They haven't licensed themselves out of their personal style. You can still identify Ralph Lauren, and it's still luxury. Ralph Lauren has always been a more classic wing of Ralph Lauren, and it has stayed more classic. And, and because it's very classic, it can be a little bit borderline just in terms of looking a little bit mature, but Ralph Lauren is still a safe bet. So out of those three bastions of fashion, those three giants of style, I would say Ralph Lauren is the only safe, sure thing bet out of those three. A couple of other brands that have disappointed me recently and broken my heart are I used to celebrate my birthdays in my early 20s at the Betsy Johnson boutique it was on Collins in South Beach when I was a fashion editor there, a young fashion editor, 22, 23. They used to throw me a birthday party because I would buy all my clothes at Betsy Johnson. So it had this fun, like girly, over the top, like really, really cool aesthetic. And unfortunately, Betsy Johnson has been diluted a lot. Yes, you can still find some great Betsy Johnson pieces on their website, but mostly I see Betsy Johnson and brands like Juicy Couture, Nanette Lepore, Nicole Miller, Laura Ashley. Most of the time now I see those brands at Marshall's, plastered on everything from socks to underwear, to makeup bags, to inexpensive bags, handbags. And they've lost their luster. They've lost their appeal. I would rather see you, if what we're talking about is elevating our style, I'd rather see you invest or buy a really simple, really plain, no name, no brand makeup bag or handbag in good quality leather than buy a bag that says Juicy on it, or a bag that says Betsy Johnson on it, or a bag that says whatever, Nicole Miller on it, because those designers, the original geniuses behind those labels, are not putting out all of these items. These are, I did a lot of research on this. I couldn't find any specifics, but we know that Marshalls and TJ Maxx sometimes carry items that are specifically made for Marshalls and TJ Maxx, and we are seeing this everywhere. So, and there's nothing wrong with that if you love the item. I've bought a lot of Rachel Zoe tops at Marshalls that I know Rachel Zoe doesn't sell on her website, but I love the top, and I know the top is chic, and that's all I really care about. But when you've got the Juicy logo or the Betsey Johnson logo emblazoned on something that really isn't elegant to begin with, don't buy it just for the label. So again, we need to see past the brand and look at the item and determine whether the item is what we want it to be, if it's going to be a good fit for our wardrobe, if it reflects our personal style, if it's modern, if it's chic, if it's all the things, right? Okay, so these are my takeaways. So this is more than just a rant. I'm not just ranting. 3 tips. Brand name alone isn't enough. I kind of said that. Brand name alone is not enough. You need to look past the label and look at the specific item. Now you're going to go on a piece-by-piece basis, not a brand-by-brand basis. You are as likely to find chic things and frumpy things in the Calvin Klein, Michael Kors, Tommy Hilfiger section of the department store as you are at Talbot's and Chico's and J. Jill. You're going to find some great things at Talbot's and Chico's and J. Jill this season, alongside some of the not so great things. And it's going to be the same with these formerly safe contemporary brands like the Michael Kors, like the Calvin Klein, like Tommy Hilfiger. That's another one. And then the third is there are brands that are still safe, that are still sure things, that are still, that get it right 99.9% of the time. I'm going to share a full list in my blog post, but just off the top of my head, I already mentioned Ralph Lauren, Vince, J. Crew, Loft, Bowden, Draper James, Lily Silk, Antonio Milani, Joy, J-O-I-E, Karen Millen, Dion von Furstenberg, Baltic Born, Tuckernuck, Anthropology. These are just a few of the stores that you can still, and few of the brands that you can safely still shop at, knowing that many of the items from those brands are going to be stylish, they're going to be elevated, they're going to be elegant, they're not going to be frumpy, and you're going to be able to find great pieces at some of those brands. And know that when you see the label on that brand, it signifies a sure thing. It signifies a safe bet. That's what I'm trying to help you do. I'm trying to help you shop more successfully, and it's getting harder because what we're seeing now is that the over 40, over 50 stores now have a lot of the flattering items, and the trendy contemporary brands now have unflattering items because, let's face it, frumpy is in. Frumpy is now trendy, and it's all muddled together, and it makes it even harder for those of us over 50 to avoid the pieces that we know are not going to look good on us, and to find to go for the chic pieces, to go for the stylish pieces, to go for the elevated, elegant pieces that are going to make us look and feel our best every single day. As always, that is my goal. I just dropped my notes. I got so heated in this. Like, this really has made shopping more complicated, and it's one of the reasons that I'm always recommending items to you. My goal is never to have you look like me. It's to have you look like your best version of yourself, and to make those choices in the store that are going to help you achieve that everyday style. I hope that you enjoyed this. I will have an approved list of brands in the blog post, which is linked below. If you like this video, if you want to hear more about which brands work for us now and which don't, let me know by giving this video a like. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Why wouldn't you subscribe? It's the best place to be. Love you guys, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.